Hi guys, welcome back to Life with Hatley, and this episode is us discussing our first experience with face-to-face couples therapy. And I have to specify face-to-face because we've done online couples therapy. We had 2 sessions not too long ago. Didn't go too well, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, in terms of the reason we've done it is pre-marital. Obviously, as you know, we're getting married in August. And it's something that family have suggested to us. It's something we spoke about, I think, even the day we got engaged.
We were on the poolside. I remember this day very clearly. We were there with our cocktails. We were lying down, and you looked at me and you said, "Would you be up for doing premarital therapy?" And I was like,
"What did I say first?"
Yeah, because I think you have more experience with that within your family.
Yeah, because of my mum and dad.
Doing it before.
I don't think they've done premarital therapy, but they've done therapy recently.
Oh, okay.
Within their marriage, and they've been married 30 plus years. I can't remember exactly how long it is, but 30 plus years. And obviously before that, I had a kind of negative perception of therapy in general. I thought it was just for people that are struggling for whatever reason, but they done it to kind of better understand each other and to strengthen their relationship. So it put a different spin on therapy for me. So from that moment on, I had the kind of positive thoughts on therapy, so that's why I suggested it.
My parents are divorced, so they didn't obviously do anything like this, but I think that's why I was more like, as soon as you said it was like a moment of relief, because I was like, yes, like, let's do it, because I want to get to a point where we're so strong before we actually get married that we're being proactive rather than reactive. Like, therapy isn't just about, like you said, for people who are struggling, but it's to proactively avoid potential problems.
Yeah. And I think for us, it's just because everyone has issues within their relationship. There's nothing crazy going on in our relationship, but we have our struggles, and there's obviously difficult dynamics within it. And we also just want to better understand each other, and also understand where each other are coming from like even before we were together, because how we were up until then made us who we are and why we met, but it also shapes our character and certain flaws we might have. So we just want to obviously understand that better and be able to work on any personal issues we have or issues we have within our relationship, and be able to tackle it as best we can. So yeah, that idea, we were all for it, and I hadn't had therapy ever before, so I wasn't too sure what to expect. I've watched shows that has therapy. I don't know if anyone's watched Blue Therapy, but yeah, I had some sort of, that was kind of the idea I had in my head, even though that's a bit dramatized. But yeah, you've had an experience with therapy.
I've had like therapy twice before, so I kind of knew what to expect, and I guess I had kind of equipped myself to be able to be vulnerable with someone that I've just met, which I think is the point that you were finding a bit difficult the most, because when you go on to therapy and you've met someone for the first time, it's hard to just tell them about all these things that are going on in your life, especially when it's a personal therapy session. It can normally be quite reactive because you're dealing with things within your life, so that's quite hard, and I think that's what you were struggling with a bit, opening up someone that you've never really met before.
Because I've always had that within me in terms of being very closed and not airing out my business. So if there were issues within my relationship, no one would know unless I said something or you said something. So I've always been very keep it behind closed doors. So actually being in a space where some random person that I don't even know, I've never seen in my life, never spoken to them, I'm just airing out my business. That was mad to me, but I didn't think about that. I didn't really think about that until we actually started looking for it.
Because I think when you first initiated doing it, obviously we were quite high on the fact that we were engaged, and it sounds good. And then I slowly realised, like, this topic's not really been revisited again since we've been engaged. And we initially said, like, we'll get it done, like, at least some time before we get married, so that we've got enough time to process it and practice the things that we've learned. And I kind of started seeing that the time's creeping up on us, So I kind of had to be like, so like, are we actually going to do this? And then that's when I noticed that you had some, I guess, reservations about it.
Yeah.
And we kind of had to deal with that beforehand, because there was a bit of reluctancy to actually do it when it actually came to it.
Yeah, the idea sounded good, and it sounded like the mature thing to do.
Yeah.
But then actually putting that into practice, and the thought of actually speaking to someone, because like I said before, I know within me it's an issue that I don't speak, and it's an issue for a lot of men. And the only person I really speak to is yourself, but even then it takes me a while to sometimes get to that. So yeah, being in that space and speaking to someone else was almost alien to me. So then I kind of started going off the idea.
Yeah, he was like being quite reluctant and not necessarily saying no, I don't want to do it, because he knew that wasn't the choice.
Yeah.
He kind of wasn't really doing the research part with me, and I kind of felt like I was trying to lead the boat on my own. But because I understood where it was coming from, at that point I was like, I just need to apply some healthy pressure to really get this done. And I think that happens, isn't it? Like, we all have things that we all have strengths and weaknesses in our relationship, and sometimes for me, if I'm able to naturally pull us forward a little bit if I know that it's something that you're struggling with.
Yeah.
So I didn't really mind it necessarily. But it took us a while to even, like, I kept asking Ashley, like, do you want a woman therapist? Do you want a male therapist? Because where I've had experience before, I was quite easygoing, because I was like, I can speak to anyone kind of thing. Like, I'm happy to just see them as a professional body rather than obviously who they like a person. But for you, I was like, do you want a male one? Do you want a female one? Like, do you want a black person as well? Because obviously we're interracial. So I was like, do you want to have someone that's black? Do you want to have someone that's whatever? And you just didn't want to make, like, he just kept saying, I don't know.
Yeah, like, I really didn't know. And I felt like you almost judge counsellors when you're picking them, because you're kind of looking at them and saying, am I really going to speak to you?
Like, we were going through like some videos on websites of like meet the therapist, and he was like, no, not that one, no, that one. Like, they look weird, or not weird of how they look physically, but it might be the way they were speaking. Like, you were just finding things to I needed people.
I needed it to click. I needed someone that I could resonate with, or someone that showed, I don't know, it was.
But although that's not even what therapy's about. So like, a lot of therapy, you're not like, it's not necessarily supposed to be biased in any way. So even when I was asking you, like, would you be more comfortable speaking to a man? That doesn't mean that the man is going to be biased because they resonate with you. So because I kind of knew that, any therapist that you meet, like, they can't be biased in any way. They have to be subjective. For me, it was like, it doesn't really matter who we speak to, so long as once we actually meet them, we feel comfortable with them. And I kept saying to you, like, until we try someone out, which we had the proof, you don't know if you're going to feel comfortable or not. And it's not even just who they are, but their techniques. Like, how do they actually perform the therapy? Like, are they more talkative, or do they just sit back and listen? Do they ask questions? These were all things that I was more thinking about.
And I think we just got to a point where it was like, we just have to try someone. Yeah. And we did. And how did that go? That was terrible. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't enjoy it one bit, but it was online.
Yeah.
So we done it within our own home, and it was difficult. I don't know how to explain it. It was like, so it was a man. It was a white man, quite older than us.
Yeah, I think he was based in like New York as well.
He was like based in New York, but he was English though.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, he's like the furthest away from what I expected and someone that I could feel myself opening up to. And that's just me being completely honest. And it felt like we were talking about some of the things we were going through, and he was just listening. Like, he did
have some good points, but I felt like I had to lead the session. Yeah. And that then caused problems afterwards, because Ashley felt like it was more of me saying things about Ashley, and rather than it being quite balanced. But because I'm more talkative anyway, and I've always been a communicator, I felt like I had to do something to keep the keep the flow going.
Yeah.
Whereas Ashley's more comfortable just kind of sitting back and listening.
Yeah.
So that's why the dynamic, like after the call ended, it was like, first of all, we're in our own home, and although in country, like it might feel like we're more comfortable because it's our house, it felt like we were kind of stuck with this weird feeling around us where it was like, did that go well, or do we feel like we've just attacked each other? Like,
I think it felt an air of we left with more questions than answers.
Yeah.
And I just felt like within the therapy, it could have been. I expected more like probing questions and things that I could kind of react to and speak off, or that would get me thinking and maybe allow me to see things in another light. But it just felt like we were venting and getting stuff out, but nothing was coming back really. That's how I felt.
I think he did have some good points on you in terms of validating you. He did say a lot of things like how he can see how much pressure you're under.
Yeah.
But
I
wasn't until it wasn't until
solution.
the end of the session where he kind of thought, oh yeah, so we need to work on boundaries. And it's like, okay, but how do we do that? What are we supposed to do? And I guess because it was our first session with him, naturally I know that the first session you have to obviously tell them about you.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's okay for this session to feel a bit like a vent, because we got to share things that we're struggling with, and we got to give context on like what's going on in our life. And then I was like, so let's not write him off from the first session, because we got to do another one now that he knows us. But the second one just felt a bit more of a repetition of the first thing.
Yeah.
And because it was online, the connection kept lagging.
Oh my god! Towards the end,
and oh my god, I literally wanted to just close the laptop or whatever it was that we were using. I was getting so frustrated. I was like, I'm paying money for this and I can't even speak to you. And at this point, I'm getting frustrated because every time I start my sentence, I'm having to repeat myself and go through the same emotion again. I was like, I can't do this. Like, this online thing is not working.
Oh my days.
And he kept putting his face like so close to the
bless him. And you know what? I'm not even like onto him. I'm not criticizing him, but bless him, man. He was struggling. He weren't understanding what was going on. We were sure it weren't us.
He kept saying, "Oh, you keep muting yourselves," and we're like, "Why would we mute ourselves?" Like, it was just chaotic. And when we came off that call, I think it was like we concluded the fact that we're not going to be able to keep using this person. Like, Ashley kept coming out of that feeling really deflated and feeling really, I don't know, just like no progress. And I kept coming off of it thinking, I've spoken too much, I've had to lead again, I've not had the opportunity to even be validated myself or even be challenged, because that's part of therapy. So I think we decided at that point that we were not going to do online.
Yeah.
And it's important to mention as well, it was quite within our budget. Like, the next therapy we then moved on to was like a lot more.
Yeah.
So tell them about like what we then decided afterwards, because I think you were put off a lot. You were put off from it.
I was so put off, and at that point I was thinking, this whole therapy thing sounds like a great idea, but boy, this is tough.
I knew I had to act fast, so I started researching. I was like, I can't let time make this go, because I know Ashley's already going to be even more reluctant because of the experience that he had. So I was like, I need to start doing some research. And funnily enough, I found someone on Instagram, and I was thinking, why didn't I check that before? Because normally you Google things, and it was so long to actually find someone that would do couples therapy. And then when I checked Instagram, I actually realised there was a local woman who was just like pretty much 15 minutes down the road. And I was sending Ashley stuff. I was like, oh, this sounds like something that we would do. And he would kind of like say it's like, I guess so. But then I think we had a chat and we were like, time's actually ticking. Like, we're getting to a point where we've got 4 months, and we committed that we would do this. And also because we were having tension with communication. And I think most couples struggle with communication, understanding each other's like different languages, triggers and things like that. So although Ashley was reluctant, it wasn't like he was like, no, I'm not going to do it. At no point did he ever say like, no, I'm not going to do it anymore.
I think at that point we agreed that we'll try face to face, and actually getting out of our environment
And we started watching Blue Therapy actually.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
And the second season, or whatever number season it is, was way better than the first season.
Yeah, on Netflix, the one.
So I think that kind of encouraged you as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the Blue Therapy was like face to face, so we saw. I think
it was the style of the counsellor as well.
Yeah. We even tried to work with her. Yeah, she was like fully booked, obviously. But yeah, I think watching that together helped.
Yeah, that brought me back round.
Yeah.
And then so yeah, we booked. You booked?
Yeah, we booked it. We were like, forget the cost at this point. We're just going to add it to the wedding budget. And we had our first session 2 weeks now?
No, last week.
Last week, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had our first session last week. It was an hour long and it was face to face.
No, we had a call with her first, like a little 5 minute.
Yeah, we had a little consultation.
And I think instantly it just sounded a lot better.
And I was watching her Instagram videos. So when she was posting things, I could resonate with the topics that she was talking about. It was all around communication, understanding each other, and I was like, this is literally perfect for what we need.
And I think for me, when we got there, I think there's obviously some sort of psychology to a therapy room.
100%.
Because it was just so simple. It was just 2 chairs, a little table in between with a box of tissues, her chair in front of us, and a clock over there. That's all I could see.
Yeah.
And it just felt safe.
It felt like we were more in a bubble than we were at home.
Yeah. I think, and then she was quite warm, I would say.
Yeah. She was quite laid back. She was quite warm. She was very smiley, like, throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And she was very receptive to, I think at one point I got a bit emotional. And she could really, like, feel the emotion.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just felt different, and she actually spoke a lot more as well. Like, she commented on certain things. She made us feel like the things that we're dealing with are common things. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's hard to pinpoint anything because she didn't do anything spectacular. But it
was the first session as well. Exactly. So again, context is important because we had to give her a lot of information on our story, our upbringing, and like obviously the whole co-parenting situation that we're dealing with. So we had to give a lot of context in that before she could even like find out who we are. But we did leave feeling like we had like 2 or 3 things that we picked up from it.
Yeah,
whereas the other 2 sessions we had, we didn't have anything really that we could actually do.
Yeah.
So I remember her saying things like obviously how to deal with conflict, and even just talking about timings of when to communicate to each other. Like when we left, we were like, okay, we actually have tangible things that we can move away from and use maybe next time we have a conflict. So even after 1 session, we had a couple of things to work on.
Yeah, no, definitely. And my feeling after that was so much better. And I'm just looking forward to the next one now. Yeah, I think I definitely recommend like therapy to anyone, whether you're a couple, whether you're just on your own, but just being able to be validated and challenged as well, because even when you're saying certain things about your upbringing, like the connection that they make, you know, like, well, that makes sense why Ashley's like this, and that makes sense why Hattie's like this, because they both had to go through this. And I think realising that and someone else telling you makes you feel like, okay, cool, like nothing's necessarily wrong with me, it's just because of X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
So if you're struggling, or if you're obviously in a relationship and you want to start preparing for future commitment, like 100%, do it.
Yeah. But that is our first experience with face-to-face couples therapy. Let us know if you've got any questions. We're going to do a Q&A video where we're answering all your questions about any of our videos. So let us know. We'll try and answer as many as possible. But again, thanks for coming.
See you soon. Bye.